Good evening, folks. Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia on a Friday night. Continuation of the Global War 1939 Special Units Edition. Topic of this evening is fighters and tactical bombers. Now you can see here I've got all the fighters and tactical bombers on flight stands, and these are the smaller version of the flight stand in the front, and the bigger on the tactical bombers in the back. So these are available for purchase at HBG. Just wanted to point them out. Got the little magnets glued on the bottom. I find in Global War that given how many units are on the map, that's nice to have the fighters stand out a little bit more. So not everybody's a fan of flight stands. I personally like them, especially when you're filling the board with, you know, hundreds of units. It's nice to be able to see what you have. Also, you can see here, they're all kind of painted up a little bit. You can kind of, I'd probably identify which nations. And given the fact that in this version, there is different fighters, for example, Japan has 3 different fighters in the game, which I'm going to talk about the naval and the torpedo bombers in a different video. I just wanted to talk about the base fighters and tactical bombers right now. So, but anyways, as you can see, painting units makes them stand out. It's a very visual game. I'm going to zoom in. Obviously, some of these sculpts you'll recognize as out of box. That's the Italian tactical bomber and fighter. Those are out of box. This is an original Axis and Allies Japan fighter, as you can see. Out of box, that's a D3 Val. That's an Oscar, that's not out of box, that's from HBG. That is a KI-27K, that's going to be the veteran fighter. That is a 3D print from HBG. This is a Stuka. I just love this sculpt of the Stuka. Again, from HBG. BF-109. And a ZF-190, or no, sorry, Focke-Wulf 190. So that's again from HBG, love that sculpt. I've got it painted, I'm not finished. I plan to put decals on some of these planes to help identify them. I just don't have them yet. So out of box Italian units, that's a Yak-9 and I-16, which we're gonna talk about a little bit further. A Mosquito out of box, Spitfire out of box, and a P-40 Warhawk. That is not out of box. Now a P-38, this is what's going to be a little bit different, but a P-38 is going to be the representative tactical bomber for the Americans. That's a P-47, that's a P-51, that's a Canadian P-51. And out of box actually comes with the Russian units as fighters, so didn't love them. So you can get the Vichy or Free French sculpts from HBG, and they come with the authentic sculpt, which is supposed to be for the French units, and that's out of box Anzac. So you can kind of see there. In case you're wondering, these ones are weathered. Obviously these ones are painted yellow and dipped in polyurethane to give them that kind of weathered look. And these are just painted gray with a dry brush. So these painted orange with a poly, in case you guys are wondering. These are painted 2 shades of brown in a white dry brush. So I'm getting into painting, as you can see. But the only difference in the actual terms of attack and defense value, like fighter, your base fighter is still going to be purchased at 10 IPC, attack at 6, defend at 6, move 4, so that's not anything special. The tactical bomber, however, same, except for one item on defense. They used to attack at 7, which is still the same, move 5, which is still the same, but we bumped up the defense. They used to defend at 4. They are now going to defend at a 5. I think that's the same as 36. I always thought it was a little bit low when I was playing, so we bumped it back up to a 5 in defense. There's a few fighters that are slightly different. I'm going to talk about evolution of units. So this used to be the unit that I used to represent as the Japanese veteran fighter. Made sense. is out of box, but I just wanted to point out, but the actual sculpt in the game is going to be the Ki-27 Kate, which was actually historically accurate as the sculpt that was used early in the war as of 1939. And the Japanese pilots obviously were veteran. The base fighter for Japan is going to be the Oscar. So just FYI, the Oscar is the base fighter. The veteran, obviously the same. Actually, we bumped it down a little bit. It's now going to attack and defend at 7, but you cannot purchase it. I think you start the game with 5. And that obviously represents the German sculpts are just there for you to see. You can either choose either one, but that's the sculpt that we're going to be using in the game. Now, the Russians, however, when they started in 1939, they only had the I-16. So to represent that, the I-16 is going to be purchased for 9 IPC, attack and defend at 5. However, starting round 6, they can purchase the Yak-9, and that is actually purchased for 11 and attack at 6, but defend it a little bit better. It'll defend at a 7. The British, you can either use the Mosquito or the Barracuda tactical bomber. Those are, whatever your choice is, those are both available at HPG. And the fighter, either the P-40 or the Spitfire. Americans, the sculpt you can use is the P-40, P-47, that's a P-47 there, or the P-51, that's a Canadian P-51 for your reference. And obviously historically accurate because we're using the, the SBD-2 for the naval torpedo bomber. We had to find a tactical bomber for the US. So, and that's just out of box. Obviously, all the other fighters and tactical bombers in the game are going to defend at 5, as I talked about. However, I forgot to mention the P-38. It's going to actually have, historically correct, an extra movement point. So it's going to be able to move 5 spots, not 4. So yes. Nothing that I think is too crazy here. And considering we're talking about, if you saw this offense in a game, we're going to go to our motivational section, time now of the speech. Actually, I never discussed this. This is a little container that I use to keep my flight stands in. I made it, just painted it white. This is the RCAF, Royal Canadian Air Force cap badge that I decided to put on there. My grandfather flew for the RCAF in a Lancaster bomber in World War II. So that's just an honor to him. Every time I see it, it gives me the goosebumps. So, but if you're ever playing Axis and Allies and you are facing an Air Force this big, you need to think defense. So we're going to talk about defense tonight. Most people love to play offense. They don't want to play defense. So whenever I was coaching to motivate my team, I would say to them, just to get their brain thinking defense before a game. This is a quote from the movie Rudy, I believe. The only game that Rudy played, it was a football movie. And his coach said to him, the lone game before they were all in the dressing room, before they went on the field. And whenever I hear this, it just makes me think, you got to build a brick wall and do whatever you can to defend. Kind of inspiring. And the coach said, and remember, nobody, and I mean nobody, comes into our house and pushes us around. So I kind of, anyways, I've recited that to my team, and I believe the message got across. So if you ever have a teammate and you're playing Global War 39 and he's just thinking offense when he should be thinking defense, maybe you can say that to him. They're going to get in your kitchen and they're going to be pushing you around pretty soon. So anyways, folks, thanks for watching. Please share and like, and stay tuned.